Yeah, by way of opening comment, great to be with my team this morning. Um, Fun to see how hard they played and how unified they were, and the sense of satisfaction that comes with winning a college football game. It was fun to see the crowd, the interaction, the environment, and just a really hard fought contest. So lots of lessons that will end up helping our program as we continue to move forward. And yeah, looking forward to a great week of preparation.
Hey, Coach.
Hey.
Eric Franson with 106.9 The Fan. 2 weeks in a row, you face pretty good passing quarterbacks, very different defensive schemes, it looked like. Was the change last week because of the challenges you faced the week before, or just something that you saw on film that structurally you guys thought you had different advantages of?
More the second. Each plan was devised in what we thought gave us our best chance to defend that opponent, even though they are both pass oriented and had similar formations. It didn't mean that their plays were the same. And so you're right, and the approach was significantly different, but it was different because of the distinct nature of the opponent. And I really liked our execution of our plan this week. I liked our plan a lot versus Hawaii. Our execution wasn't as consistent as it needed to be. Our execution in this game from beginning to end held more consistently, and we made some critical plays and were productive when we needed to be. And so, but that was the reason for the difference.
Coach Mendenhall, Jason Turner from the Herald Journal. Just a simple question and then one more in depth. But I take it Bryson and Britlin welcomed a healthy baby boy on Saturday.
They did, and yeah, all is great with. I feel like I'm their spokesman. All is great with mother and son, and yeah, what amazing parents they'll be. Really fun to just be part of. As that's one of the cool parts about being a college football coach.
And then for the more in-depth one, looking back at the film from Saturday, what impressed you the most about your team, and what things do you feel you really need to shore up heading into University Stadium on Saturday?
Yeah. Going into last week, I think we were playing stretches of quality football and have from the beginning. But we also have realized that there are situations, or what I call contexts, that we weren't playing as precisely or specifically to those contexts. So a context might be 4 minute, it might be 2 minute, it might be third and long, it might be fourth down. And so our execution specific to the context is what I thought needed to improve. And great analogies or great examples of that would be our field goal kicker going out, not just to kick a field goal, but to kick it with a minute or two left or seconds left to put his team in front. And so that's a different context. The next step for our program is continuing to execute within the specific context at a higher and more consistent level, which we did on Saturday. And that was fun to see. So it's a continuation of that.
Jason Walker with Cash for the Daily. You preempted my question a little bit because I wanted to ask about playing in context. You talked about after Hawaii, where you didn't do it as much in the Hawaii game. You did it more against San Jose. Like, how do teams improve in that playing in context? That seems like something that's hard to figure out in practice.
Yeah, it's awareness first and foremost. And so once there's awareness, then there's specific and tangible things and steps of what to do about it. And so once you analyze where you might be falling short, in our case, the fourth quarter versus Hawaii, there were some pretty simple things that showed. And so once you identify an area that needs to be targeted, right, then you're looking at what specific things can address that. And then that becomes your focus for the week in practice. And it takes work, but really every context and every team to improve it, there are things specific to an area that can be developed. And sometimes it's just, quite frankly, it takes a little more time to develop your team's identity and what the roles of specific players might be. And there's guys that emerge that, man, this could be something he's great at, or this might not be the role for this player at this time. And so the roles still are shifting somewhat all throughout college football, I think.
Good afternoon, Coach AJ South, Aggie Sports Radio Network. New Mexico's running back crew is almost by committee. Of course, number 4, DJ McKinney was a catalyst last week in the win over Nevada. What do you see out of them in the running game? And is that usually by committee with that team?
I'm not sure if it's usually by committee, but there's an emphasis on running the football, and yeah, the running backs are they're quick and they're strong and they run powerfully. They're aggressive, and sometimes when you have players rotating and competing, every run is almost like a defining run to get other touches or to help their team win. And so there's advantages both ways of having a running back, and there's advantages for having multiple running backs, and they're making it work, and it's really effective.
I know you're trying to downplay this week, New Mexico, the whole situation. How do you make sure that these players are able to keep their emotions in control as well? It's going to be a hostile environment, obviously. What do you do to make sure everyone stays level-headed going into a big game this Saturday?
Yeah, I don't see it as much from the players. Again, this is a completely different team at Utah State, and New Mexico's team is completely different. The coaches are different. There certainly could be people in the community and others that have issue with me only being there a year, but really preparation and execution win the day. And these teams are competing for a Mountain West Conference championship. They're competing in a Mountain West Conference game. And really, there's not much time, energy, or space for anything else. And yeah, I don't anticipate it being more than that.
Coach Mark Green with the Utah Statesman. You go from back-to-back weeks playing the top two passing offenses in the conference to now more of kind of middle of the conference offensive team, both passing and running. How does the defensive approach or scheme change going into this week?
More balanced for sure. So both Hawaii and San Jose State run the ball, but they run it in a complementary way to the throwing game, and really not maybe as diverse or not nearly as much variety. New Mexico has a really strong running game, unique schemes and strategies, and they throw the ball well off of that in terms of play action and some unique formations and gadgets and point manufacturing things through creativity. Their coaching staff's doing a really nice job, and so different approach, and that's what Mondays are for. Mondays are long as you identify the new opponent and then start crafting where the matchups are and what your schemes might be. And sometimes, as we had Hawaii, San Jose, even though we've talked about it, it looks similar, maybe not as much as people think. When you have now this type of opponent, more significant changes and kind of than what we've had the last two.
And then other side of the ball, New Mexico's top two team defensively for the run defense in the conference, but then pass defense are much lower. How much of it will be the run game coming off of the pass game versus typically you would say you run the ball to open up the pass game?
Yeah, and matchups are different, and the opponents each team has played are different, and so statistics are relevant-ish, and so I don't put too much into that. So New Mexico's aggressive, and they're playing the run well to this point, and not afraid to use the numbers necessary to do that. And sometimes that comes at the risk of big plays, but again, nature of schedule, different things. It's too early to just jump to statistical conclusions for me. But I just think their coaches have done a nice job with their team.
I want to ask about Bryson Barnes, where this season, when he's been under pressure, he's really struggled, like more so than you would typically struggle when you got a guy in your face. But this last game, his numbers were pretty good, even when he was under pressure, managed to complete a lot more passes. What have you seen from him as he's grown in ideal situations where he's still making a play, throwing or running?
Bryson is just, man, he's experienced, he's seasoned, he's tough, he's combative, he's a really good leader, and he's super productive. I think completion percentage, he might have been near 70% this past game, and that doesn't mean the pocket is clean. He's under duress frequently, and so I just think he's the game continues to slow, his play continues to speed up, and his decision making and accuracy continue to improve. And yeah, I just think he's a very good player.
I want to follow up on the thoughts on New Mexico's kind of running back trio. Just what does it create challenges for you as a defense, or is it just more about your own run fits and whoever's running the ball is whoever's running the ball?
It's more of the second. Our execution and our precision and our consistency. And if there's subtle differences or if there's significant differences between the back, then, it might change your angles. They might be a little wider. They might be a little more downhill. They might be a little more bounce oriented. But really execution, consistency within our own schemes and strategies is where our focus will be.
And then with Mexico's pass game, they've got a quarterback who I think's thrown 8 interceptions. So obviously a little interception prone. Are there things you feel like you maybe what do you feel like has led into those interceptions for them? And is that something you can maybe take advantage of in this game, create some turnovers?
Yeah, there's a lot of the interceptions have been shots downfield. And so New Mexico's aggressive off the run game and creating downfield shots. And some of those balls, the defenders just have outcompeted or outjumped or just were in really good position. And again, those shots, they appeared to be worth taking. And so I think the defenders have just done a nice job making some plays on those.
Reaver knocked in 2 huge field goals there in the fourth quarter. Can you just talk about his preparation and the ability to be able to have a reliable field goal kicker in those kind of situations to get you points when you need it?
Yeah, it changed the game, and defining moments for him, for our team, and just really fun to see someone go out and in the moments where they're called on to do their job for the team to have success. The team was really happy for him.
Wanted to ask you about, I mean, you mentioned the coaching staff for New Mexico. Their program is in a similar-ish situation as this one, new coaching staff, same record. What have you seen out of that program and Coach Eck this season that's made him successful?
Yeah, I think just, a really clear plan. He's been successful before, and certainly he has coaching staff members that he knew and that fit well with his staff. Really did a really nice job. I think with the most possible transfers in college football, you'd have to verify that. So lots of new players with the new staff, establishing culture and execution. It's I'm not going to say it's identical, but we're doing the same work. And I think that the schemes, the strategy, the coaching, the players they brought, I think they're doing an exceptional job.
Is there anybody still with the New Mexico program that you know? I mean, you brought pretty much your entire coaching staff. Are there people that you expect maybe reunite with when you make the trip down?
Yeah, I'm not the most social person when it comes to before games or on trips, but the support staff and some of the administration is the same, for sure. Support staff, meaning training staff, academics, those kind of areas within the football program. That's completely different.
Coach Mendenhall, number one, their defensive end is one of the most productive pass rushers in the Mountain West. He was an All-American in Idaho last year. Started his career at Montana Tech. So, two-part question: what do you see from his skill set, and how impressive is it that this young man has evolved from an NAIA player to a legit FBS player?
Yeah, dynamic, explosive, productive. I actually noticed him at Idaho, and I think we were preparing to play Montana State when I was coaching at New Mexico, and I noticed him then. And I wasn't aware until just this week as we're playing New Mexico that's where he was now. He's a good football player and really just shows a great focus on his part of continued work and development to keep climbing the ranks.
And my other question is, how important was it for you to get back on track and winning the turnover margin this past weekend?
Yeah, winning is fun, and winning builds momentum, and winning builds confidence, and winning continues just to cement all the positive things that are happening in the program. And more importantly, it's just fun to see the players happy and to have something tangible for all the work they're putting in.
You've had some common opponents. You kind of touched on this before, but you beat San Jose. They struggled against San Jose. What can you draw from their performance against a common opponent?
Oh, it's always tricky. There's some things that might be relative, and so you look for common opponents and you look for scores and how that might match up. You look maybe for personnel matchups that you think might be similar, so it gives you a point of reference. I just really think the Mountain West Conference, there's so much parity and it's so similar. And any given week in any given game, it looks like the games could go either way. And so I think you can draw some, just that the game will be close. And a play here or there really determines the difference, which I think was probably the difference of their loss to San Jose and our win versus San Jose.
Last question for me. What's your opinion about fans storming the field?
That's a good one. Man, I've been part of that, both sides. And it's I'm not sure it's preventable, and I think that it's maybe a natural outcome for the passion and the energy that fans and programs put into their athletic departments and their programs. And yeah, I would say that, and this won't be the answer you want, I'd say I'm neutral. But the extra time, energy, and effort to curtail it, I'm not sure that would be worth it.
Coach, when you made the transition from New Mexico to Utah State, how much of it was opportunity and how much of it was, getting closer home to family, for your wife and be closer to your kids? And along with that, do you plan on making this a permanent stay until you decide to be done with coaching and move on with life? Or?
Yeah, those are big questions. The easy answer is, the first guiding principle in our program is family first, last, and always. And I never imagined I would have a chance at this stage in my coaching career to be back in my home state with all three of my boys, two of which are here at school. Chance to see my mom and my three brothers, and to be home. And so that is the answer. There isn't any more to it than that, no matter what other narratives there might be. And yeah, so that's why.
Coach, you're going back to a program that obviously you already coached at. Just how much do you keep tabs on programs that you've been at before, in between BYU, Virginia, New Mexico? How much do you follow them, if at all?
I don't follow the teams as much, but I follow the people. And so the relationships are really what's lasting. And some of the players that I coached at New Mexico, my first round, they sent pictures when New Mexico went to play Michigan, and they went out to the game, and they were all really good defenders for us. And I coached those guys, and so great to see them. And so the context, I was coaching at New Mexico at the time, but they're sending me a picture now of their school where they played, going to play Michigan. They played them well, and they're having a great time. It's really fun to see. I got a text also this week with maybe 30 or 40 players gathered prior to the Virginia game. I'm seeing Kyle Van Noy and Jamal on BYU sidelines with John Beck, all guys that played for me, and so yeah, the game was going on, but that really wasn't what I was focused on. It's just the people, and that's the best part of college athletics.
Hey, Javen, Eric Franson with 106.9 The Fan. We'll just start off with the obvious about returning to New Mexico, a place where you had some success, but you chose to follow Bronco Mendenhall to Logan. Can you describe the emotions of going back there, a place where you kind of established yourself a little bit?
Yeah, I feel that going back, it'll be exciting, a scenery that I'm familiar with. But I feel like it's just a great opportunity. Obviously, the next opponent on our schedule, I don't want to give it like too much, attention that it needs to be. Like I treat it just like every week and have the same process for the upcoming opponent. But it'll be exciting to be back in a familiar place for sure.
Javen, Jason Turner from the Herald Journal. Just how much pride do you take on being versatile and being able to impact the game in many ways?
I take a lot of pride in that, in the receiving end and the run game, just with my role being able to create explosive plays and help our offense. So, yeah, I take great pride in my job and how I can help impact the game to win.
Jason Walker with Cash Philly Daily. In the last couple of games, the run game hasn't really been bad, but like hasn't maybe been at what it was earlier in the year. What do you guys feel you got to do to get the ground game a little bit more consistent, get a few more yards, especially against a really good New Mexico team where they're a pretty good run stopping team?
Yeah, I feel like we just got to take it one play at a time and trust our preparation throughout the week and just let it all out on Saturday. And I think being on the same page with the O-line is what creates those big runs for us as an offense. And then really just trusting our training through the week and we'll be straight. So
Mark Green with Utah Statesman, kind of similar, building on that with a good run defense from New Mexico, but just kind of an average pass defense. You and Miles have obviously been involved in the passing game out of the backfield. Do you see that being a big factor this week against a good run defense?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel honestly we should be able to still do what we've always done all year in the run and pass game. I know New Mexico has a pretty good defense, and they fly around to the ball, and you got to acknowledge that. But I feel that as long as we execute in both the run and pass game, we should be able to still do exactly what we've always done as an offense. So.
Coach talked about playing in context. I'm sure he's talked about that a lot with you guys. And looking at the ground game where you're averaging 3 or so yards per carry, but in the final drive, you guys break off runs of like 12 and 9 yards, help set up that field goal. Just what was the key for you guys to break off those big runs, especially in a moment where obviously San Jose knew you were going to run the ball?
Yeah, I feel that, we just had to stick with our process and, just taking it one play at a time and, knowing that the bigger runs would come. As long as we just stuck with it and trusted our linemen to do that. So it was great to close out the game that way. And, hopefully we can continue to build on that this next week with explosive plays and explosive runs. So.
And then you talk about, being in sync with the offensive line. You're talking about the in context of the run game, but kind of another area is in pass protection. What are some of the things that you and the offensive line are trying to work on to make sure Bryson Barnes is getting pressured a little bit less, where there's been a few more of those than you'd like recently?
Yeah, really, it's just all communication and making sure that we're on the same page in the backfield to seeing where their ID is, and then from there, just making sure we keep Bryson protected and hopefully and so he can get the ball out. So that's really just what it is, just communication at a high level and being on the same page with them in the pass game as well.
Hey, Jamin, one more for me. Just you're one of is it 8 or 9 players that followed Bronco here to Logan. Are there people that you're looking forward to seeing when you get back to Albuquerque and to being able to connect with, whether it be community members, people at the university, people like that, as you and a good number of Aggies are going to be heading back to New Mexico?
Yeah, absolutely. I know a good amount of players that are still there and administration and people that, have helped me with my academics there. So if I do get to see them after the game, I'd love to say hello and still give them my respect just because, they were, key people in my life when I was there last year. So it'll be exciting to see them after for sure.
Bryce and Eric Franson with 106.9 The Fan. I want to ask about the pass breakups. There were a lot in the game. You accounted for quite a few yourself. Just the difference for you in the secondary this last week compared to that game at Hawaii where there were a lot of passes thrown your way. Just what was so different about this last week that made you guys a little bit more successful in a passing attack?
Our focus in practice for sure. We didn't get the result we wanted in Hawaii. So we made an emphasis in practice to knock the balls down. Our coaches always yell, don't let them catch the ball no matter what exercise we're doing, whether that be Skelly or team or a scout. So we just put an emphasis on that, and it reflected in the game.
Bryce and Jason Turner from the Herald Journal. And it wasn't just the pass breakups. Eget, his pass percentage was definitely lower than normal, and threw for a decent amount of yards, had to throw over 50 passes to do it. So just how first of all, how hungry were you guys to, after the Vanderbilt game and the Hawaii game, to go out there and prove yourselves as a secondary?
Yeah, we were real hungry. We were very hungry. Like I said, we didn't get the results we wanted in the last 2 games actually. So it was just a buildup of we gotta make a change, and they were all really again just started in practice. We took practice very seriously. It was probably the best week of practice we've had all year as a secondary, and I'm proud of how we played, and I'm proud of my teammates as well.
Jason Walker with Cache Valley Daily. So you're going from 2 pass-heavy offenses to one that's a little more balanced with New Mexico. Just, I guess, how's the defense, now adjust from, in this last game, we were dropping 8 all the time. How's the adjustment going to be for you guys to play a more balanced offense?
So yeah, they definitely run more. We're definitely going to probably come in some different packages, but really is same point of attack, same mindset. We're going to come in the same mindset. It really doesn't change too much of what we're doing. Again, it's just the same mindset, maybe different little packages here and there. But other than that, that's it.
Mark Green with the Utah Statesman. Coach Mendenhall, after the game on Saturday, talked about how Hawaii and San Jose State, the game plan was the same. It was just the execution that was better. How much did that kind of better execution against San Jose State give you confidence to kind of build on that performance going into this week?
It gave us a lot. It gave us a lot of confidence. The way we played, again, just practice well. So we want to keep that going, and we're going to go in the same mindset these next 4 or 5 days of practice, and we're going to build some more confidence on that, and stack it even more, and play another good game.
Obviously, against San Jose State, the coverage was kind of the focus and less so the pass rush. But going into this week, what can you guys do as a secondary to kind of give that pass rush more time to get home, as they didn't have any sacks against San Jose State?
We can make sure we stay on our man longer, just cover longer, do our jobs, doing our assignments, so to help our D line get there. That's about it.
I want to ask about two moments in that San Jose game. First being that fourth down stop. Just what was the feeling like with the defense getting that, especially where I think they said that same play call early in the game went for a 60-yard touchdown, but you get that fourth down stop which just about won the game right there.
Yeah, it was a great moment. Joy hit me. Just watching my team just fight hard. We had that play in practice, and like I said, they got a touchdown earlier, and us responding to that play, it was a great feeling.
And then kind of the same question, but about that final drive from San Jose where they had to go the length of the field, and you guys gave up a little bit of ground, but never allowed them to make this big play. Just what was that like? Especially when I think it was Brevin finally knocked down that pass.
Yep. We were prepared. We prepared that situation. We did that situation several times in practice. We knew it was coming. We knew that the game was going to be close in a 2-minute situation, and we were prepared. And even though we did give up a little bit, like you said, we held our ground, and we executed great.
Bryce, and I thought the crowd probably played a little bit of a factor on Saturday. Those false start penalties at the end of the game. It's going to be a different atmosphere. Not that you're personally going to, face any animosity, but maybe the team will in general. So, how do you guys keep your wits about you, in front of a hostile crowd, maybe in a tight game?
One thing we say is we're all we need. We're all we need. As long as we got our team, we're all together as one. We're going to be all right. Just block out that outside noise. No matter if it be negative, we'll be all right.
And a similar question to you that I asked to Javen, just about your opportunity to go back there and people that maybe you're looking forward to visiting with, or but then I guess as a second question to that, just walk us through your decision to leave New Mexico and come to Utah State.
Yeah, for sure. Your first part of the question, I definitely have some teammates and some advisors and teachers there that I would like to see after the game. I was there for 3 years, and they definitely played a big part of my life. I definitely consider some of the people still their family. And then your second part of the question, really, the trust in the coaching staff that I met, Bronco Mendenhall and his entire staff, they've been a big part of my life. They changed my life, and I trust them. And they decided to make a move, and I wanted to join.
And then just another follow-up, just now both teams have played San Jose State. Just from a player perspective, having a common opponent that you can kind of examine film, like how effective is that for you as a player?
Oh yeah, it's real good. It's just we see what we do and we see what they do. We see what they did good and see what they did bad, and break that down, and we'll move from there. Yeah.
Where Mendenhall, Coach Mendenhall talked about their quarterback Jack Lane, where he takes some deep shots. And that's where a lot of his interceptions have come from. I mean, I guess someone in that secondary, kind of looking forward to maybe fighting for a few of those and maybe getting adding to that interception total.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna practice on jumping the ball and getting the interceptions in practice, and yeah, hopefully that translates in the game.
Just one more for me. Coach Mendenhall on Saturday said that he is probably the least statistically minded coach, but is more focused on kind of execution and results. How much does that translate to you guys as a defensive unit?
It translates to us directly. We take right after him. We don't really pay attention to how many yards they may have or the numbers. Really, it's all about if we believe if we do our job and we execute our details to a T, then we're gonna come out successful.